Okay, find me.
Ladies and gentlemen, please start finding your seats. Excellent. Well, I've heard good things about the networking lunch and your sessions. I heard that so many of you had great experiences. I hope you did. And I want to welcome you all back. I hope you had a wonderful networking lunch and were able to connect with your fellow attendees and panelists. Importantly, we hope you had a very productive and eye-opening breakout sessions. And we are so excited this afternoon for the afternoon's portion of today's summit, which includes our afternoon keynote and the grand finale, the Latinas Think Big Showcase. But first, we have a very, very special performance for you by our very talented artist, Roxiny. The Dominican-born and internationally raised singer-songwriter-producer, Roxiny lights the way for a new kind of pop culture femme. She defines her genre as experimental pop, while carving a new path with lyrics drenched in magical realism. We thought Roxiny would be a wonderful artist to showcase at today's summit because she is not only a singer-songwriter, but also a producer who is innovating with her music. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Roxiny.
Here we go.
see your hands up. Headlights, headlights. That's right. Headlights. Here we go. Love another time, another place. You feel familiar, like another love familiar time, another place. You feel so familiar, like another place. Anybody who's felt love in this room, here we go. Roam like animals till the stars collide. I feel the magic as your spirit crosses mine. Sky bleeds diamonds as I look into your eyes. I fall into the heels of light. It's on into breathe into deep. I move away, feel the space. See what lies 200 feet ahead. See this little headlight. Love familiar time, another you feel familiar life, another face. You love familiar time, another place. You feel so familiar life, another face. See you walk in the headlights. See your love, see your life. Headlights, headlights, headlights. It's about love. It's about life. Love familiar. You feel familiar. Love familiar. That's right. You feel so familiar. Thank you so much. Woo. Oh, you guys are amazing. I just want to take the time to thank everybody thank Angelica, thank Google, and the entire team at the Latinas Think Big Summit for having me here today. And thank you for sitting here and listening. You have no idea what an honor it is for me to be in front of this room of so many beautiful, talented, strong, intelligent Latina women. What an honor. So cheers to you. Amazing. And so with that said, I'm going to dedicate this next song. It's called Hero. I want to dedicate it to each and every one of you sitting in these seats, because it's about honoring your heart and honoring what you're worth. And I think it's time we all learn to do that in every single way and never, ever take anything less. Hero. Don't expect me to apologize for not trusting the Father in your eyes. Only a hero holds a fire.
all so much for having me. Have a beautiful day. You are the beautiful ones.
Roxiny, visión cumplida. I'm going to tell you how I met Roxiny. I have a lot of people, I've been on Facebook in social media. I know a lot of you know me through that. And Roxiny reached out to me through private Facebook. And she was promoting herself. She said, Angelica, I'm following you. I'm a singer-songwriter. This is the work I do. And she's Dominican, so, so we have that in common. Of course, I love all my Latinas, but you know, having a Dominican-American woman reach out to me, and I always wanted to be a singer, by the way. So I saw her stuff, and what I loved about Roxiny was the fact that she was doing her own, she calls it 100% her own PR. And let me tell you, that's not entrepreneurship. I don't know what is. So I've been completely and immensely thrilled to know her. And I really wanted to give her this platform because, you know, we actually have the power to lift artists like Roxiny. Roxiny is not going to sell her soul. And I respect that about her. I know Roxiny was offered a big contract actually with a record company, and she refused it because she was not willing to compromise her values, and I respect everyone who does that. So thank you, Roxiny. So I am thrilled to welcome to the stage our first keynote of the afternoon, a good friend, which I have met through social media and met her today in person, Diana Albarran, Chicas. And I'm sorry, I need my glasses, and I have not gotten them, so I'm going to have to bring this up. Diana will be sharing with us what are some of the best practices and solutions are around advancing the pipeline for young Latinas in STEM. We haven't had a chance in this program to address young Latinas in STEM, so this is our opportunity to do that. Diana was born in Mexico and came to the United States under her parents' vision of a better life for their children. She was the first one in her family to graduate from high school and attend college. And that's a powerful thing. It sounds light. She grew up undocumented until she was a junior in high school and remembers accompanying her parents to the strawberry fields as a child. Diana graduated from MIT with a degree in electrical engineering and is currently the Near Field Range Test Section Manager at SSL, where she is responsible for the company's unique antenna subsystem test facility. And I hope Diana will tell us more about SSL. She's the first Latina in the history of SSL to hold this position. Diana has been awarded the Estrella Award by the SHIP Silicon Valley Professional Chapter, the Science and Technology Emerging Leader Award by Silicon Valley Latino, the Rising Star awarded by High Tech, named a Latina leader by NBC Latino and Latino Leaders Magazine, featured on 25 Latinas Who Shine in Tech by Latina Magazine, and interviewed by CNET en Español. She is the co-founder of Empower Educational Services and the Latinas in STEM Foundation and Listas. Please give a warm welcome to the amazing and awesome Diana Albarran, Chicas. Diana, where are you? Oh, there you go. Hi, thank you. Thank you so much.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm sorry my voice is a little coarse. I've been a little bit sick, but finally on the mend. First of all, I want to thank Angelica for inviting me here today, Google for sponsoring this event, and all of you guys for attending and taking the time to be here. It really is a privilege and an honor to be here amongst everybody, all the speakers, and everybody that's spoken today, that's contributed to the discussion, and who continues to share their wisdom here this afternoon. I would like to start by taking you through what I like to refer to as my STEM journey. A little bit about how I am where I am today and what led me to be in the position that I am now. I hope that this really brings some value, especially for the young Latinas in the audience today, as to what led me to be here amongst all these powerful women today, and that you can look to similar experiences or even exceed what I have been able to accomplish. So as Angelica alluded, my journey actually started in Mexico. I was born in a very small town, San Cristobal Guerrero. It's the southern part of Mexico, and that small town has only gotten or has only received electricity and water in the last 10 to 15 years. So it's a very small rural area where women were not expected to do much other than have children and be spouses to their husbands. I was born there, and my father, who had relocated to Mexico City, decided that we were going to relocate to Mexico City as well. He only finished 3rd grade of elementary school, as well as my mother. I don't come from a family that's highly educated, even in Mexico, and by the grace of God, they were able to learn how to read and write. And they are by far some of the most hardworking people that I know, and that's one of the big lessons that I learned from them from a very young age. They decided that Mexico City was the best thing, so we relocated from San Cristobal Guerrero to Mexico City until my dad in 1986 decided that he was going to go see what was the big thing then called El Norte, which was the United States. And so he came undocumented and was here for a year and decided that this was going to be the place where his family was going to live. So he moved back and said, we're selling our home, which my parents had built with their own hands. We were not affluent, but my father had worked for a Pepsi company for a couple of years and held night shifts there so that he could provide for his family, but decided that that wasn't enough for him. While he was here in 1986, he realized that education was available, something that was really not the case in Mexico City, at least not for me, as he knew it. So he sold all of our possessions. He sold the house that they had built. He sold everything that they owned. And we moved to the United States in 1987. I came at the age of 5. I was undocumented. And I remained undocumented until I was a junior in high school and grew up a very immigrant life. My parents worked 2 shifts during the week, day and night. They alternated shifts so that one parent could always look after me. My mother, on top of that, also suggested that we should go see and work on the weekends in the fields. So my parents worked in the strawberry fields during that time, and because there was not enough money to hire a babysitter, I was asked to come with them at 4 a.m. in the morning. So I would have to wake up every morning, get up with them, and go to the strawberry fields in the dark, whether it was raining, whatever the temperatures were. And it became a part of who I was. And to this day, I still see those little green baskets of the strawberries, and I remember where I was, what I was doing, and what it's like to see your parents work day and night to help you and your family be better and have a better opportunity. So I grew up knowing that I was undocumented, which meant that a lot of my time was spent in hiding. When we first moved to the United States, we were told, don't go out after when there's too much daylight, you should stay in and make sure that nobody sees you or knows that you're here. When we first moved to the first home we were here, we shared it with over 20 people. our room was essentially living and sleeping under a dining room table. So when I say that I remember what it was like to be an immigrant, I can tell you that I know what it's like to be an immigrant in this country. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So we decided that I would just focus on school. My parents were very big on education, and they said, you know, we're gonna do anything we can for you. And when I was in 3rd grade, my parents were unable to help me with my homework. So what they did was my mother exchanged her labor. She would clean a neighbor's house in exchange for that neighbor to help me with my homework. So she was very resourceful. She found a way where there's a will, there's a way. And that's always a very constant reminder to me of what it meant for them and what they were willing to sacrifice for me. And I never took that lightly. My father, like I said, even when we first moved to the United States, worked the night shifts. So I saw very little of him except on the weekends when we were out picking strawberries. And it was a difficult time. But by the time I was in 6th grade, we had finally stopped moving. Between the time that I moved to the United States and by the time I was in 6th grade, I went through 6 or 7 different schools because we were constantly moving. We had to follow the crops wherever they were to help sustain ourselves. And it was difficult having to move and relocate, but by 6th grade, my parents were able to get a home and buy a home, and we decided that, that I was going to try to do my best in school. My 6th grade teacher was very important for me because he was the one that decided, his name is Mr. Denholmes, I still remember him, decided that I was gifted, and that led to being tracked into advanced classes from there, from middle school up to high school. High school, I did really well because I was associated with kids whose parents were doctors and lawyers and engineers, so I learned through them how to navigate the college admissions system. If it weren't for that, I would have never had known what FAFSA was, what an application was, what filling out financial aid forms were either. So in 11th grade, I decided, or I thought I knew that I was going to be an architect. And there was a summer program at the University of California, Riverside that exposed me to engineering. And it was there that I learned about engineering. I had never met an engineer, knew what engineering was, or let alone met an engineer before. But I figured it was important because there was a whole school dedicated to engineering. And after that summer program, I came back my senior year and I told my counselor I wanted to be an engineer. And she said, okay, let me look at some schools that are good engineering schools and I will get back to you. 2 weeks before the MIT admissions deadline came, she told me, here's MIT, you should apply. I had no idea what MIT was. I never grew up thinking I was going to go to MIT. I just thought I was going to go to college because, hey, everybody else was doing it, so I could probably do it too. And to be honest, when they first told me about MIT, I thought it was a lot like ITT Tech. And it sounds very naive, but that's really where my mind was at that time. And very thankfully, I was admitted through a lot of hard work, and I graduated with a degree in electrical engineering, and that was the reason why I did electrical engineering was, as somebody mentioned earlier, I was really good with the A and V equipment, the audiovisual, the VCR, you know, connect everything. Back then, you had the VCR, the speakers, the amplifiers, and so I was the tech person. And I figured if I know how to connect this and use them, I should know how to design them and not just consume them. So that led into electrical engineering. My first job was with a small startup called Thermo Life Energy Corporation, who's now moved into technology wear. And after being there for some time, I realized that I had outgrown that company, and that led to the current position that I'm in now at Space Systems Loral. I have been very fortunate. I've had a lot of help along the way, and it's been a difficult journey. But what I do want to tell the young people in the audience today is students, please focus on science and math. The technology and engineering can come later, but to have a good foundation and something related to STEM, science and math is important. You know, make sure that you push yourselves beyond your comfort zones. Attend those science club meetings, those math club meetings, those robotics meetings, and do what you can to push yourself beyond what you feel you can do. For the parents, you need to be involved in your children's education. You need to be their advocate. You need to make sure that you understand what it is that your child needs to do to go to college. You need to try to find the resources that you can find for them so that they can attend a university. And if it's not STEM related, that's perfectly fine, but please make an informed decision with them. For counselors and educators, I am a big believer that I would not be here today if it weren't for my 6th grade teacher and my counselors that pushed me to say that I could be where I am. Please continue to push the students, to encourage them, to give them the information that they need, the advice that they need, and the help that they need. And to corporations and anybody that's willing to be part of this Latinas in STEM movement, we ask you to please be part of it. We've started the Latinas in STEM Foundation, where we've gone through 5 different cities taking the message of what STEM is, why it's important, the work that we've done. We've impacted over 2,200 students. We've impacted over 400 parents and over 500 professionals. So there are organizations like the Latinas in STEM Foundation that are willing to do this work, but we need corporations, we need sponsors, we need volunteers that will help us move these numbers to help improve the Latina in STEM representation. Currently, we only are 2% of the science and engineering workforce and 1% of the computer science workforce. So I'm asking you to please be a part of the movement, help us propel the numbers and increase the numbers. And I would like to leave you with a quote, a favorite quote that I have from Robert F. Kennedy, which is, "Some people see things as they are and ask why. Others see things," no, hold on, I think I got it wrong. Some people see things and ask why. I dream of things that never were and ask why not. So thank you. Oh my God, it was so hot. Sorry.
Thank you, Diana. That was amazing, and what a journey. Aren't these stories powerful? You can't make this up, right? I am so honored to present to you our final keynote of the afternoon, Alejandra Ceja. Alejandra will be sharing with us what the White House Initiative on Educational Excellence for Hispanics is doing with regards to promoting STEM education. Alejandra Ceja was appointed by the White House in 2013 to serve the President and the Secretary of State as the Executive Director of the White House Initiative on Educational Excellence for Hispanics. Alejandra works closely with the Latino community and the President's Advisory Commission on Educational Excellence for Hispanics to implement the goals and deliverables under Executive Order 13555, by which President Barack Obama renewed the initiative and better aligned the work of the initiative with the department's Cradle to Career agenda. For 3.5 years prior to assuming this position, Ceja served as the Chief of Staff to Undersecretary of Education Martha Cantor. In that role, Ceja was instrumental in managing the Undersecretary's personnel, budget, and associated operations, including the operations of 6 White House initiatives to support the President's 2020 goal, what Secretary of Education Duncan calls the nation's North Star. The United States will attain the highest proportion of college graduates in the world by 2020. That is the goal. A native of Huntington Park, California, Ceja holds a bachelor's degree in political science from Mount St. Mary's College in Los Angeles and a master's degree in public administration from Baruch College at the City University of New York. She is a graduate of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute's Public Policy Fellowship, the Presidential Management Fellows Program, the National Hispanic Leadership Institute, and the National Urban Fellows Program. Please help me in giving a warm welcome to Alejandra Ceja. Alejandra. And Alejandra is a little sick today, so, okay.
Thank you.
That's only for us.
Buenas tardes, ¿cómo estamos? I was just telling Angelica, I'm one of the tallest Latinas you'll ever meet. I didn't need the step stool. Muchísimas gracias por la oportunidad, Angelica, for joining you all today. Diana, for sharing your story. It's an honor to be here. Before I get started, I just have to say I think every presentation should start with a wind machine. That was awesome. So we're here to talk about STEM. There's no question today that investing in STEM education is the right thing to do. Our country is changing demographically. Latinos are going to account for the largest growth that we'll see between now and 2060. So it's not just the right thing to do, it's a smart thing to do. So I'm here to share with you a little bit about the work that we do at the Department of Education and how you can be inspired and empowered with data to change your communities. So I've got some information I want to. Latino growing numbers in education. I wanted to share some data with you all. I have an opportunity to work and be housed at the Department of Education. We have so much information at our fingertips. And I think this convening is so important for us to make sure that you walk away with the data, that you know what's happening in your school district. This fall marked for the first time that minority students became the new majority in our public schools. What does that mean? That means we have more African American, more Hispanics, more Asian Pacific Islander, American Indian and Native, Alaskan, and biracial students than white students in our public schools. For anyone who has made the mistake of believing that the challenges of Black and brown communities are somehow someone else's problem, a minority problem, that day is over. We have to make sure that every child, no matter his or her zip code, has access to high quality preschool, great teaching, high standards, and safe schools. Given this tremendous growth, are Latino students being prepared for the growing demand in the STEM workforce? This is a map that'll show you by school district where we are seeing gaps in STEM education. The Civil Rights Data Collection is the first of its kind, a national data tool for analyzing equity and educational opportunities. I won't be able to achieve the mission of the White House Initiative on Educational Excellence for Hispanics without equity. It reveals new truths about the journey our students take from pre-K through high school graduation, and it shines a spotlight on whether our schools are providing the opportunity for all of our students to be prepared to compete in the 21st century global economy. The slide you see before you provides a snapshot by school district where the full range of STEM courses, Algebra 1, geometry, biology, Algebra 2, chemistry, physics, and calculus are offered. This is seen by the areas that are lighter. That's where you see those communities that are providing the full range of STEM courses. The dark areas is where we need to invest our time and energy. Those represent regions where there are gaps in STEM education. The CRDC data revealed that less than a third of high schools serving the most Hispanic and African American students offer calculus, and only about 40% offer physics. If we want our students to be college and career ready, then we have to ensure that they have the access to the courses that they need to succeed in the workforce. So I share this with you all because it is so important that you empower yourself with this data. That you go back to your communities and you ask those tough questions. As parents, as tías, what's happening in your school district? As students. Now, math was not my favorite subject. I went to a school where you either got it or you didn't. And if you didn't, you were kind of considered not the smartest one, and it just, life went on. It was intimidating. You have to ask yourself, if we're having this conversation today about the importance of STEM, the importance of Latinas in STEM, is your child getting the full range of courses that he or she needs to be successful? That's the power of data and the importance of what we do at the White House Initiative and at the Department of Education to change this. This is data that's available to you. It's created from our Office of Civil Rights, produces it. You could go to the Department of Ed's website, ed.gov. You can put in your zip code, and you can find out what's happening in your school district. You can talk to the local community college, the local businesses, about how we can partner to make sure that there's full representation. That's the model we're seeing at the federal government. We're seeing those high schools that are being redesigned, that are working with the 2- and 4-year institutions, that are reaching out to their local Googles, that are reaching out to those local organizations and asking about internship opportunities. So I have homework for you all because I do represent the Department of Education. I want you all to pull up this data. I want you all to be informed of what's happening in your district. I was fortunate to have older siblings that helped guide me. When teachers would say, you're just not good at math, my siblings made sure that they worked through the problems with me. But let me tell you, that stigma follows you. It wasn't until my adult life, when I graduated from graduate school, I applied for a position at the Office of Management and Budget. They told me the AmeriCorps portfolio, it's a community service program, was available. I go into my interview. The manager is interviewing me and is basically explaining the position. And I had this moment of, oh my goodness, this is going to entail numbers. I'm in the Office of Management and Budget. I can't do this. And I sat there trying to convince him not to give me the job. And he basically said to me, do you know how to add and subtract? Yes. Do you know how to multiply? Yes. Division? Yes, no problem. It's like, what are you afraid of? Technology, spreadsheets. You could use your calculator. So I had this moment of, I had to let go of that stigma that other people had placed on me. And I had to embrace the fact that here I was, a Chicana from Los Angeles, working at one of the most prestigious organizations in Washington, D.C., helping develop the president's budget. So I took that challenge. So to all the students that are here with us today, don't let anyone set any fears in your way. You're going to have barriers that you're going to have to jump through, but you can do this. So I worked there for 7 years. It was great. Once you get rid of that fear, you can do anything. And so I love the concept of today, Latinas Think Big. That takes courage. That takes persistence. You all have such a tremendous opportunity to shape the future of your communities. So I want to talk briefly about what we're trying to do to ensure that the growing numbers of Latino students have access to an equity in STEM jobs. So you probably have heard from some of my other colleagues that spoke before me about what we're doing, and I just wanted to share with you all a little bit about the Department of Ed's investment in STEM. So exposure to STEM education and careers starts early. If we're going to build the STEM pipeline, if we're going to build that pipeline for the workforce, we need to invest in early learning. And that's something that the president is aiming to do. There's a $75 billion proposal to invest in early learning. Unfortunately, half of the Latino students that are eligible to be enrolled in pre-K programs are not enrolled. We have a long way to make sure that our community is educated about the benefits of ensuring that their kids have access to a strong start. The president's budget also includes $320 million to support the goal of preparing 100,000 effective STEM teachers in high-need schools over the next decade. We don't only need to have teachers in the STEM field, we need Latino teachers in general. Unfortunately, only 8% of teachers in this country are Hispanic. One of the things our office is doing is talking about the positive narrative of the teaching profession, highlighting those leaders who are shaping their communities. They're the first role models that children will see. When you talk about the STEM profession, I have to break it down for students. And I'd love to see more teachers in the classroom doing the same thing. That you could do anything with a STEM degree. That is the course of our future. If we're going to be competing globally, that's where we need to invest. So our office launched a Latinos Teach initiative, and all this information is available on our website. I know my chief of staff is watching, so I have to give you our website, and our hashtag is @HispanicEd. So just in closing, I wanted to take this time to let you know that you all play a role in the work of the White House Initiative. It was created in 1990. At the time, we had the most alarming dropout rate in this country for Latinos. Fast forward, we're seeing progress, but there's still much more work to do. We're seeing more of our Latino students graduate from high school and enter college, but they're not completing. That's where we come in. We need to make sure that we encourage them to that finish line, because unfortunately, only 16% of Hispanic adults have a bachelor's degree. That's unacceptable. So, I didn't mean to lecture you all, but I'm just saying, you have an opportunity to be at the table with our office. Next year, September of 2015, we will be celebrating our 25-year anniversary. What does that mean? I grew up in Huntington Park. I can't just have a one-day celebration. I'm also Mexican. So I'm proposing that we have a year of action, and in that year of action that we have 25 key high-profile events from cradle to career on all these great policy issues that we talk about, and that we talk about the state of where we're at, and we address the gaps that continue to persist. And on that 25-year anniversary, I want to have 25 commitments that are cultivated from the public and private sector. I'm talking about dollars on the table, internships and scholarships. All you businesses out there, I need to talk to you after this presentation. I want you at that celebration, because at the end of the day, you're investing in the future of our community. It takes all of us to fulfill America's future. So I want to thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for bearing with my voice. I'm getting over some laryngitis. But I just want you to know, earlier today we had the opportunity to meet with some of the middle school students. They need to see themselves in these professions. So thank you, Google, for opening your doors, for having this important convening. But our work isn't done, it's just beginning. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for that. And now, our grand finale, our Latinas Think Big Showcase. The showcase will introduce 6 Latina innovators in STEM who will each deliver a 12-minute lightning talk. It means it's fast, even though it's 12 minutes. That showcases their innovative projects. So let's get right to the talks. Our first presenter is Lisa Morales Helebo. Lisa is a serial entrepreneur, seasoned product strategist, and creative director with a career that spans 20 years helping companies, from startups to F500 such as Coca-Cola, PSE&G, Hasbro, and Nexus, maximize conversions via multi-channel e-commerce product strategy, development, and brand extension. She is currently the executive director and co-founder of the New York Fashion Tech Lab, which she launched with Springboard Enterprises and the Partnership Fund for New York City. Her previous fashion startup, Shopsy, leveraged patent-pending smart data remix technology to allow women to shop online the way they shop offline, browsing and mixing items in context to produce inspiring combinations. Born in the Bronx, New York City, woo! Lisa received her BFA with University Honors in Graphic Design from Carnegie Mellon University. Please welcome Lisa Morales Helebo. Lisa?
I've got water too. Oh, where do I go? I'm mic'd. Is this on? Yes. Hello? All right, I'm not gonna stand still because I'm Latina. I'll knock down water. I tend to do that. Oh, and wind machines. Look at that. Although it's cold, so I might want them off. So hi, I'm Lisa Morales Helebo. Can you all hear me okay? Yes? All right, fantastic. Okay, yeah. I'm a little chilly. Thanks. So I'm here today to share with you personal stories that led to major epiphanies throughout my life. They've shaped who I am and who I've yet to become. And the underlying theme of all of these stories really is fear, and how throughout my life I've chosen to embrace fear, to let it be my motivation. And I'm going to share with you how I did that. So I'm a Puerto Rican from the Bronx, and my parents moved us out of the Bronx when I was about 3, up to Westchester County, New York. I don't know how many of y'all know about Westchester, but it's very white. And so when we moved up to Westchester, my parents were giving us a better chance at a better life, better opportunities, better schools. And unfortunately, we moved in 2 doors down from a racist, and my daily life changed dramatically. I dealt with having severed deer heads put in our driveway. I would have spick written in the snow in front of our house. I had my cats shot at with a BB gun. This was a daily thing for us. And I think worst of all is that their children had to leave our neighbor's house if I showed up. And if they said hello to me, I'd hear them being beaten 2 doors down. So I was living in a constant state of fear. And for a child, that's a very sort of formative thing to have to deal with. So I'd go to school, and on the bus, I'd have children spit on me, ask me why my skin was dirty, why are you so brown, or worse. And I'd come home, and I'd tell my mom, crying, bawling my eyes out, what had happened. And my mom said, "You deserve to be in any room and have your voice heard. All you have to do is prove your worth." And so those words, I've realized after 40 years on this planet, have really propelled me through every major choice in my life. So fast forward to Carnegie Mellon. I applied to school, and Carnegie Mellon was my only choice. I told my parents, that's where I'm going. I don't need to apply anywhere else. And they were like, well, maybe you should. But I got in on scholarships and grants, type A, overachiever, proving my worth. And I wanted to be in graphic design. So graphic design is an amazing field. And after graduating with University Honors, I said, I'm off to Vogue. Of course, that's where I wanted to work. While I was interviewing at Vogue, I got a call from Herman Miller out in Michigan. Do you all know what that is? Furniture company. Kind of a big deal in design. Since that was my degree, I said, hey, I'll go. It was a 1-year position. They had over 4,000 students every year apply for this position, and they chose 2 students. And looking back, I think that's why I went, because I wanted to prove that I could get it, and I did. So it's about making those hard choices, and at that pivotal point in my early life and career, I chose the less obvious path, the harder path, and it's consistently paid dividends for me. Fast forward to going to Norway. I was working out in the valley and happened to meet a Norwegian surfer, tall, blonde hair, green-eyed man, and he changed the course of my life. They tend to do that when they're the one. So working out in the valley, dream job. I was there during the first dot-com bubble and was enjoying the heyday. It was a lot of fun. But this amazing man came into my life. And all my friends said, "What are you doing? He asked you to quit your job and move to Norway? Are you insane? Where's the ring?" And I said, well, why not? What's the worst that could happen? I get to live in Norway. I get to learn another culture, another language. Why wouldn't I go? But they said, you know, you have this dream job. I was working at a world-renowned mass customization and micromanufacturing startup owned by P&G and Red Point Ventures. It was amazing. But I said, you know, I can get another great job. I can make another great job. I think this is the guy, I'm going. And I left. And we're married, have beautiful children. And thank you. The next major epiphany came when I came back to the States after I had my first son. I started a design firm. And that came about because I was working at a nationwide retail chain, and the CEO came to me when I was like 7 months pregnant. And he said, you know, Lisa, we know we need you more than you need us. So I assume you're starting an agency or something when you go out on maternity leave. Would you like your first client? And so I said, give me a second, I'm making a human being, so might need a couple months, but sure enough, 4.5 months later, I started Good Egg Design. And again, the fear was creeping in. All of you that have children know that it is so wrought with fear when you have your first child. Everything is terrifying. So for me, I was thinking, what's the minimum I have to make to still like take care of my family and have a house, maybe what, $30,000, $40,000? Again, majorly underselling my capabilities. So we bought a conservative house and we had my child, and the first year in business, I worked maybe 6 months, and people were coming to me. I made 100K. And I said, wow, hey, I can do this. It's really a defining moment to realize that you have the power to control your own destiny. And that was that for me. The next moment was when I went with one of my clients, who became one of my closest girlfriends, Carmen Ortiz-McGee. She is the president of an organization that represented the top 1% of minority wealth in the country. So she invites me to their annual conference, and at this conference, I was the first time in a room full of people that looked like me, that were millionaires and billionaires. And it changed my perspective on everything. I said, if they can do it, why not me? I had never even had that cross my mind before that moment, which was shocking. And so I started sharing ideas with these people, these brilliant millionaires, and they said my ideas had validity. So then I pursued developing a contextual search engine, which is known as Shopsy, and asked my husband, do you mind if I don't make, you know, I was the primary breadwinner, all the money to support us for an indefinite period of time, make $0, and pursue this startup thing? And he said, go for it. And so I figured, I've got to make this work. And I didn't. And it sucked. But it's a learning experience. And again, I jumped at the thing that was scary. And I tackled it, and I learned a ton. Amazing opportunities to really learn about business and how to scale a product, and bigger issues within the industry. So one of my biggest learnings from Shopsy was that the ecosystem for fashion tech was really a little broken. And I wanted to fix that because I'm an entrepreneur. So I went to my network of Springboard Enterprises. Amy Millman. I was having dinner with her in New York City last summer, and she said, what do you want to do next? I said, well, I'm enjoying mentoring these fashion tech startups. I would love to build a space where we could really have the big brands and retailers connect with the startups that are looking to serve them. And she immediately said, well, let's do that. That's the power of having networks and bringing yourself up to surround yourself with the people that are really impactful in the industry. The people you surround yourself with matter. They hold you accountable to what you're capable of. So my expectations for myself suddenly were massive. And I said, okay, what next? She asked me to pull together a proposal, send it to her. She'd forward it to Kay Koplowitz, who happens to be the woman that founded USA Networks, kind of a big deal. She said, if Kay signs on board, she'll get the brands on board. And if she signs on, we'll do this. So sure enough, Kay calls me in for a meeting. And next thing I know, she said, well, I'll get the brands. If you want to head it up, let's do this. And just like that, another big epiphany was you get 0% of what you don't ask for. I literally put it out in the universe. I don't know, this is what I want to do next. And these amazing people I surrounded myself with said, let's do this. But if you don't ask for it, you don't get it. It's really not that complicated. It's that simple. And so we're off to the races. And this year, I launched the New York Fashion Tech Lab, which is really a culmination of everything I've done throughout my career. I built a space where the big brands and retailers, Macy's, J.Crew, Ralph Lauren, et cetera, are connecting with the startups that are looking to serve them. And this was really a paradigm shift for accelerators because they were chosen by the big brands and retailers. And they were mentored by the C-level executives within these big retailers. They were validating that your technology is important to this industry, as opposed to an investor saying, we think this will make us a good amount of money in a year or two flip. So we're looking for game changers to move the industry forward. That's the latest sprint that I've been through in my lifelong, lifelong journey as an entrepreneur. It took me a while to figure out that I was one. Sometimes that happens, but it really was a life-changing experience once I was in the community. Because this community, if you pay it forward, it gives back in spades. But you have to be involved, you have to be visible, you have to ask for what you want, and you have to really commit yourself to whatever you're doing with passion. The community will support you. So I ask you today to really think about embracing the thing that you find most scary in your life. Embrace the fear and see what happens if you push past it. Because I guarantee you it's going to be amazing things. And again, somebody earlier today said, you don't regret the things that you did in your life, you regret the things you didn't do. So take a leap.
Thank you so much for that, Lisa. That was a great, great talk. Our second presenter is Zoraida Velasco. Zoraida is the co-founder of Dinergy, a social enterprise and app that strives to apply carbon budgeting principles to real-world situations and provide real-time insights for everyday decision-making. Zoraida is a full-time dual-degree graduate student between the Fletcher School of Law and diplomacy at Tufts University in Medford, Massachusetts, and IE Business School in Madrid, pursuing a Master of Arts in Law and Diplomacy and an international BA with concentrations in Sustainable Development Diplomacy and Corporate Social Responsibility. Beginning her career as an associate programmer for the World Affairs Council, she later joined the International Business Development Department of the Metro Orlando Economic Development Commission. In 2010, Ms. Velasco was recruited by the Executive Office of Governor Charlie Crist to serve as Governor's Special Assistant for the Central Florida and Tampa Bay regions. In early 2011, after a change of governorship, newly elected Orange County Mayor Teresa Jacobs called upon Ms. Velasco to serve as Special Assistant for Economic Development and International Affairs. In this capacity, she was responsible for the development and execution of economic development initiatives and managed strategic relationships with local, state, federal, and foreign governments, as well as with other economic development organizations to develop programs and incentives that help grow, retain, and attract businesses. Ms. Velasco was born in Bogota, Colombia, but grew up across Latin America in Colombia, Peru, and Venezuela. Ms. Velasco is the youngest recipient to ever obtain a Beacon Award, celebrating diversity. She is the recipient of the Women of Achievement Award from the Women's Executive Council and La Prensa's newspapers Mujeres Destacadas Award, Distinguished Women Award. Please welcome Zoraida Velasco. Zoraida.
Thank you. Is this on? Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah, there we go. All right. Oh, no fan for me. Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Thanks for being here. So I want you to take a look at this image. Some of you may recognize it. It's an aerial view of California. I want you to keep it in mind throughout my presentation. Note that to the right of the image are the snow-capped mountains of Sierra Nevada, and in the middle you'll see a lot of green. Throughout my life, due to a myriad of reasons, I've lived in 6 different countries, always seeking a better future with my family. And that exposure to new social environments constantly led me to quickly realize that I either learned to speak up or I was going to be left behind. And that is exactly how I am in front of you today. I spoke up. One day earlier this year, I went knocking on the door of Ann Rappaport, a professor at Tufts University, where I attend grad school, whom I had never met before, but I was interested in her experience in corporate social responsibility. And so during my conversation with Ann about a million things, I said to her, how cool would it be if people could measure their carbon footprint based on the items they consumed? And so Ann said, you have to meet Peter. Peter has the same idea you do, and you guys have to work together. Granted, I had no idea that what I had just told Ann was actually an idea. But she went ahead and introduced me to Peter. And Peter's another graduate student at Tufts. And we went on to put together a team, and we won our university's energy competition. That gave us funding to implement a pilot program at the school. You see, throughout my life, I've learned not to be afraid to ask questions, to knock on doors, to speak up, and to advocate for what I'm truly passionate about. And so that's how I'm here, right? I just went knocking on somebody's door. I didn't even know I was going to end up telling her an idea. It was just a comment. But it's something that I'm passionate about. And so as I've learned through this journey, I've always been very in touch with nature, the environment. Started the first recycling program at my first job. But I've never really had formal training in STEM fields, in science, technology, education, and math. And Dinergy, which is what I'm going to talk to you about, actually entails all 4 of those fields. Aside from maybe polishing up my math skills for the graduate admissions exam, that is really the extent of my experience in the field. But I'm here today. And so I want you to look at that picture, and then if we can go, I don't know where the clicker is here. Can we go to the next slide? There we go. So the picture on the top is the one that we were looking at earlier. That picture was taken in January. The picture on the bottom is the same picture of California. That picture was taken in January as well of 2014. Now, when do you think the picture on the top, with all the snow and the greenery, which clearly is missing on the bottom, when was that taken? 5 years ago, maybe, before that one? 10, 30 years ago? I think somebody said it. That was last year, or a year before. So the one on the bottom is 2014, January this year. The one on the top was only a year before. And so that is what is happening to California and to many, many places around the world. And so we need to realize that our carbon footprint is not just the vehicle we drive or switching off the lights on our way out of a room. Yes, those things are important, and I encourage you to continue to do them if you are doing them. But there's more to that. Did you know that 14% of human emissions come from agriculture? Think about what you had for dinner this last week. As good Latinos, it probably included rice and beans, and beef, chicken, or pork. So if we switch to the next slide, I want you to look at this infographic from Mother Jones. The second item from the top, let's say, is beef. According to this, producing 1 pound of beef is the equivalent of emitting 60 pounds of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And so that probably doesn't mean much to you, but it's about driving 64 miles. If you eat beef 3 times a week, every week for a whole year, you would be driving a little over 10,000 miles. That is the same as getting in your car here today, driving to Florida, where home is for me, from Florida, driving to Alaska, and then driving back to Mountain View. Now that is a long, long way. Now I'm not here to guilt trip you over eating beef, because we know we all love our beef and our chicken, or to try to get you to eat a whole pound of tofu, which is the bottom one that barely has any carbon emissions. Plus, eating a whole pound of tofu probably has some health implications you'd want to be concerned about. But the point is to bring awareness of the fact that everything we do, everything we eat, everything we consume has an impact on the environment. And so you're probably wondering, how did the piece of meat that I had for dinner last week actually emit carbon dioxide? Foods and items impact the environment in very many different ways. So if we take the example of meat and beef, you take the cow, right? So was the cow corn-fed? Where was that corn cultivated? Were the tractors used to cultivate the corn running on diesel, on gas? Were they electric? The slaughterhouse, where the cow was processed, how much energy did it consume when it packaged all the meat? When the meat was transported to the store where you bought it, how did it get there? By train, by truck, by boat? And I can go on and on about all the different stages of a life cycle of that piece of meat that you had this week for dinner. And so that is why we created Dinergy. Dinergy is a social movement that we're trying to use technology to leverage social change. We're trying to promote social change through leveraging technology. Dinergy will be an application that you can download onto your phone, that just how there are apps that help you measure your caloric intake and keep track of how many calories you eat a day, Dinergy will allow you to know what the environmental impact of the foods you eat are. So just as when you go to a restaurant or when you go shopping, you want to check on your phone, well, how many calories will that be? Or you kind of have a budget for your calories. When you're at the store, eventually, and this is what we hope to achieve, foods will be labeled based on the impact that they had on the environment. And so as consumers, we could make a more educated decision when we buy the things that we buy. And we're starting with food because, well, we all have to eat, right? So we all have to buy food. But this could be done with anything. Anything that's produced always has an impact on the environment. It's not just, like I said earlier, the car you drive or the, whether you turn off the lights or you keep the AC on. At Dinergy, we're trying to make the world a better place. And to do that, we need people like you, who are motivated, who care, and who are willing to work together for a common goal. There's an ancient proverb that says, we don't inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. And so it is our responsibility to make sure we return this earth to our children in a better condition that we received it. The theme of today's conference is STEM. So I encourage you to continue to advocate for STEM education. Dinergy entails all of that. And I'm educating myself on those fields now. And so for those high school students that are in the crowd, make sure you challenge yourself on science, technology, engineering, and math, because I wish I had. And I wish I would have had the opportunity to come to a conference like this and have been exposed to it, because maybe I would, I would be in a different place, but I'm happy where I am now. And Angelica, thank you for the opportunity to be here, because through this I hope to encourage you to make a change and to help promote STEM education. Did you know, and I think one of the speakers earlier said it, the purchasing power of Latinas this year was $1.5 trillion. It's estimated to go up to it was 1.2 this year. It's estimated to go up to 1.5 next year. That's the buying power of 52 million people in this country. And according to a study by Nielsen, 86% of the purchasing decisions in Hispanic homes are made by Latinas. And so as our influence in this country becomes stronger, it is our responsibility to become better educated consumers. And Dinergy is just one tool that will help you do that. I was in, if we can go to the next slide, I was in New York. Next slide, I don't know where the button is. Oh, there we go. I was in New York 2 weeks ago with 400,000 of my closest friends at the People's Climate March. And thank you. And so during that march, I saw this sign. And it says, I used to say someone should do something about that. And then I realized I am someone. We are all someone. With all of the information you're going to walk away with here today about STEM, you can all make a difference as well. So why not start by joining the Dinergy movement? Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Zoraida. That was great. Our next presenter is Rebecca Yanes. Rebecca is a junior at Stanford University majoring in mathematical and computational science. Rebecca received the class of 2013 HE-NAAC Scholars as well as sponsored by NASA Ames Research Center. During her freshman year, Rebecca was quick in making a presence at Stanford. She took on several leadership roles, including Vice President of the Venezuelan Student Association, Recruitment and Membership Director of SSCLES, and Community Coordinator of the Chicano Latino Orientation Committee and Program Coordinator for El Centro. Rebecca's superiors at El Centro were so incredibly impressed with her quality as a young professional and community leader in her freshman year that they went on to hire her as program coordinator during her sophomore year, a role that was usually filled by juniors and seniors. Rebecca also co-founded VENSA at Stanford with the support of 2 peers. Rebecca embraces her heritage as a Latina and the opportunities it opens for her in the STEM world. She sees how inversely related the hard sciences are to the number of Latinas in the sciences. She takes this as an opportunity to stand out in her career and hopes for the day when it is normal for Hispanic women to pursue STEM careers. Please give a warm welcome to Rebecca Llanes. Rebecca.
Thank you. It's so exciting to be here. It's really an honor to speak to you all. So hopefully I'm not the only one, but have you ever felt like you put in a lot of time and effort and you're not really seeing the results you want? I know I felt like that. So I'll tell you a little bit about that story. My perception of that was actually changed a year and a half ago when I was elected to be the membership and recruitment director for one of Stanford's groups, Stanford SOL, the Society of Latino Engineers. Now, I hadn't been super involved in the group in my freshman and sophomore year, but I decided to join during my junior year and was elected because of my previous relationship with the Latino community on campus. The membership recruitment director isn't necessarily the most important job of the executive board, but definitely a necessary role. But in most things in life, I tried to go above and beyond. And that meant when we needed food, I would volunteer to go pick it up. When someone needed to send out an email, I would do it. I was always on time to meetings, would arrive early, stay late, and I voiced my opinions and made myself heard. And it wasn't until about 6 months ago now, when people started coming up to me saying, "Are you running for president?" that I realized, people noticed the work that I was putting in. I never really saw myself running for president, but because I think a lot of times we ourselves are our harshest critics, right? But at this point, I realized that the hard work really does get noticed by the people around you, which is why my perception about how a lot of times you don't see kind of the fruits of your labor coming out isn't really true, because other people will see it. So now here I am standing before you as the president of SOL. Like I said, SOL is Society of Latino Engineers, and I'd love to talk about this group because it's something that has absolutely shaped my time at Stanford. So SOL has been around for quite a long time. If you know SHIP or MISE, well, we've been around before them. So the Society of Latino Engineers has gone through many changes, including a name change recently. But it was founded on 4 pillars, and those 4 pillars remain today. The first, we are students, is academics. So that means that we host study nights, and we match upperclassmen with incoming freshmen to guide students into becoming the best student they can be and decide what major they want to do and what's the best way to approach it. Another goal of SOL is to make the highest quality Latino engineers possible. So that's why our second pillar is professionalism. We host workshops with corporate reps. We partner with the Career Development Center to make sure resumes are on point, interview skills are top-notch, and that they can network with people like you. The third pillar is outreach. Most of our members realize that we wouldn't be where we are today without the help of our friends, our family, mentors, counselors. So that is why we like to give back to the community by mentoring middle school and high school students in the area, inviting organizations onto campus for tours or panels or workshops, and just being that source of inspiration. Our last pillar, familia, is where we have a little bit of fun. We like to think of ourselves as friends and as a community. And in the past couple years, we've focused on this pillar, and it's really paid off. The reason for that is because we've realized that when there's a strong community of friends, the rest sort of just follows. So if we have people that are friendly and want to hang out, then they'll come to the academic events, they'll come to the professional workshops, and they'll do the outreach that needs to be done. So part of the reason I'm talking to you about SOL is because I hope that in whatever stage of your life you're in, you have a SOL familia like I do. So whether you're in high school, do you have that Latino engineering group at your school? If not, make one. If you're in college, undergrad or graduate students, join that group and be a leader in it and shape the group for the future. And this even applies for professionals. I've been in companies where I've interned in the past where I saw a lack of Latino group. And I know that wherever I end up full-time, if that group doesn't exist, I'll make it. So make that SOL familia wherever you are, because it really is important to have that community, because that's how we move forward as a group. Now, funny story about SOL. I was elected president, called my parents, and said, "Mom, Dad, I'm president of SOL, the Society of Latino Engineers." And the first thing my dad says is, "You're not an engineer." So let me clarify. SOL is meant for STEM, as the Latinas Think Big Innovation Summit is. So I represent the M of STEM. My major at Stanford is mathematical and computational science, which is a fancy name for applied math. And yeah, I don't know why Stanford calls it that, but applied math is, I think, a field that is absolutely growing, but where Latinos are still yet to be heard. I think a lot of great work has been done with Latinos and Latinas in engineering, but if you look at the hard sciences of math and physics and chemistry, we're not there, and we need to be there. You saw that 11% earlier that Angelica showed at the very beginning. So what do I see with applied math? There's an objectivity in nature with numbers that you really can't find anywhere else. And decisions that are based off of numbers are more reliable and more impressive. And that's why I see math going so far. Now, I know you've all heard the term big data. Still not really sure what that means. I think of it more as overwhelming data because the amount of data out there is overwhelming. Just the other day, I was with my friend in the car. We were driving in a parking lot, and a car pulled out and he slammed on the brakes. And he goes, "Oh, that's going on the record." I was like, "What are you talking about?" Apparently, his family is getting a discount on insurance so that they can put a chip in his car that counts the number of times he slams on his brakes. So sure, right now that might be giving him a discount, but in the near future, I'm sure some mathematical formula is coming up that is going to charge insurance members different prices for that. So lots of things can happen when you're talking about math and numbers, and it's something that I've seen in my internship opportunities in the past. I worked at Safeway for a summer. Every time you swipe that membership card and pay something, Safeway knows about it, what time of the day you did it, when you did it, how many times you've done it. And that's why you're getting personalized coupons and all that fun stuff. So the reach of numbers to me is really almost endless at this point. But what I think is really cool is that different people, different organizations measure success in different ways. But the important part is that it can be measured. So where else can I see these measurements going? Take education, for example. Every student every year is given grades and GPAs and notes and standardized testing scores, but what's being done with that other than just seeing trends? I think that so much can be done in testing how one school teaches and another school teaches and comparing the actual results, analytically and scientifically based. The same thing can happen with policy. Let's say one company tries one recruitment style and another company tries another. How does their numbers in Latino applicants differ? These are all things that can be measured, but they haven't been tapped into yet. And so that's where I see the future of numbers and math and overwhelmingly big data going. So I know we've heard a lot of fabulous people talk today about all the great things that they're doing. And just like I think numbers can kind of go into another space that hasn't been tapped into, I think everything you all are doing can also move similarly. So how is it that your job or your role, how can it go into another space that really will make a big impact and a big difference? I want to thank Angelica for inviting Stanford Society of Latino Engineers here today, and I want to thank you all for the constant support that you've given Latinas in STEM. It was really an honor to talk to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you to my mom for watching on Google Hangout. And I'm looking forward to talking with you all after and seeing where the conversations go. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Our next speaker is Oli Bichel, and her talk will be in Espanol. Woo! Oli Bichel resides in the Dominican Republic, where she was born and raised. She has a degree in Information Systems Technology from el Instituto Tecnológico de las Américas and Universidad Nacional Tecnológica, and is currently completing an international master's degree in Communication and Education at the Universidad Autónoma de Barcelona. She is the community manager for the Vice Presidencia of the Dominican Republic, is the community manager for the Vicepresidencia of the Dominican Republic, is a tireless technology advocate and community organizer involved with more than 15 NGOs. Her mission is to close the digital gap in the Dominican Republic. To achieve this goal, she travels on the weekends to impoverished communities to educate and introduce people of all ages, especially women, to technology. She's the founder of several projects and initiatives, including the Por los Niños del Batisoco project and Inda Joven. Please welcome Oli Bichel. Oli.
Hola, buenas tardes. Espero que todos me puedan entender en español porque pienso que nuestro idioma es tan precioso, ¿verdad? A ver, buenas tardes, que se sienta, vamos a ver. Buenas tardes, tan lindo, ¿verdad? Bueno, estoy un poco nerviosa, ya comencé. Bueno, vengo desde muy lejos, vengo de una isla preciosa llamada República Dominicana, donde compartimos también con un país llamado Haití, que son nuestros hermanos, nuestros vecinos. ¿Sí? A ver, mi país es muy especial. No sé si es porque el sol quiso quedar, si es porque nosotros estamos llenos de esperanza. Nosotros los dominicanos somos famosos por la energía que tenemos. No sé si conocen a algún dominicano. Pero vine hoy para decirles que yo soy un sueño hecho realidad. Yo soy Tiki Tik, que es uno de mis proyectos que tengo más años, tengo 5 años en eso. Y hace 3 semanas ya le puse nombre, porque este año conocí a Angélica, que es un ángel. Conocí a Angélica en Harvard, que me invitaron, y estaba hablando sobre por qué, la importancia de empoderar a la mujer del campo. Hay que empoderarla. Oye, la base del desarrollo de un país está en la mujer. Eso podemos ver en los países subdesarrollados, cómo le dan la importancia a la mujer en su desarrollo. ¿Qué pasa? Que yo decidí viajar a los campos, a las comunidades más pobres de mi país, para llevarle alfabetización digital a los niños. Esa fue la idea, así fue que comenzó. Ok, yo voy a ir donde los niños, les voy a enseñar computadora, eso era la idea del proyecto. ¿Qué pasa? Que hay una serie de conflictos con los abuelos en los campos, donde dicen, mira, yo no necesito de educación, yo vivo de plátano y de algún animal, no necesito de escuela, yo no quiero que mis nietos estudien. Entonces es un poco difícil entrar y decirle, mira, pero préstame los niños por 2 horas, que nada más es hablar de computadora. No, que después ahorita quieren una computadora esos muchachos. Yo, espérate, préstamelo. Entonces ya comienzo por ahí. Entonces, ¿qué pasa? Yo le estoy dando clase a los niños, ese era el proyecto. ¿Qué pasa? Me encuentro, cada vez el proyecto va cambiando, me encuentro que los niños no saben leer y escribir. Oh, Dios mío. Entonces, primero, no me voy a ir, eso no, a mí no me para, eso a mí me encantan los retos. Y yo comencé y dije, bueno, pues vamos a aprender a leer y escribir. Comencé a buscar libros, comencé a buscar donaciones de un libro famoso en República Dominicana llamado Nacho. Entonces, ¿qué hice después? Después que ya yo alfabetizo a los muchachos, comienzo entonces con mi computadora. Pero ¿qué pasa? Las madres comienzan a buscar a los niños y se quedan ahí, pero escuchando la clase. Cuando yo digo, a ver, ¿alguien tiene alguna pregunta? O sea, los niños, ¿alguien entendió o no entendió? Las madres levantan la mano. O sea, ya yo tenía otro público. Para decirles que al segundo mes, adivinen quiénes estaban ahí, los abuelos, porque ellos están diciendo, oye, pero ¿qué es lo que está pasando? Que toda la comunidad está metida ahí. Entonces, ya el proyecto cambió. Entonces, comencé a pensar, me iba a mi casa y le decía, mami, ayúdame, ¿cómo lo hago? Porque no puedo alfabetizar a los niños al mismo tiempo que a los abuelos y a las madres, porque cada uno aprende hasta un poco más lento, los adultos, ya que no están familiarizados con eso de la educación. Y que me dicen, mira, llévame al paso, espérate, que esto de computadora es muy moderno. Entonces, ya el proyecto cambió. ¿Qué pasa? Que cuando Angélica me dijo, oye, tiene que ponerle nombre al proyecto, ¿por qué yo no le puse nombre? Que eso fue, una joven me preguntó ahorita, que por qué ahora fue que yo le puse nombre. Y era que yo sentía que está en cada uno de nosotros hacer algo. O sea, eso no es un proyecto, eso se ve diferente en las perspectivas de República Dominicana. Aquí y en las universidades que desde el 2012, me han invitado, tanto Harvard, Brown University, Wesleyan, que me invitó también a hablar. O sea, aquí ustedes tienen proyectos de una vez, oye, vamos a hacer un proyecto para dejar de fumar, vamos a hacer un proyecto para llevarle agua a los niños. Allá no, allá es que, oye, ¿qué tú vas a hacer? ¿Vamos a hacer algo? Ya. Entonces, yo no pensaba en proyectos, sino que yo siento que si he aprendido algo, como es la informática y lo poco que yo sé, tengo que multiplicarlo porque entonces yo encontré este mundo un poquito mejor que mis padres, yo tengo que dejarlo un poquito mejor para la próxima generación. O sea, los dominicanos hablamos muy rápido, avísenme si no entienden. Bueno, para decirles cómo siguió el proyecto, ¿qué pasa? Yo, antes de ese proyecto, disculpen que lo liguen, yo recibí muchos no. Tú no puedes, ¿y para qué tú quieres estudiar tecnología? Oye, tú no puedes, es una carrera de hombre. Yo me siento tan emocionada y tan orgullosa de encontrar más de 50 mujeres que están en eso de la ciencia, que les gusta la tecnología, la matemática. Es precioso. Cuando estaba pequeña yo no iba a estudiar tecnología y mira que mi mamá es tecnóloga. ¿Qué pasa? Yo dije que iba a estudiar medicina y mi mamá me preguntó, yo era una niña, ¿y por qué tú quieres estudiar medicina? Pues yo siempre he sido curiosa. Ah, porque quiero sanar la tristeza. Eso era lo que... Yo recuerdo eso. Yo recuerdo que le dije eso a mi mamá y ella me dijo a mí no y me explicó para qué era estudiar medicina, qué hacen los doctores. Y yo dije, bueno, pues voy a sanar enfermedades y la tristeza. Porque yo no entiendo y todavía, eso yo tenía 7 años y todavía ahora tengo 25 años y yo no entiendo por qué la gente no persigue sus sueños. ¿Por qué hablan en pasado? Oye, abuelo, mira, cuando yo quería, yo creía, yo debía, yo debí, pero en otra vida lo que pienso. O sea, entonces, ¿por qué? ¿Qué pasa? Que esa generación, así como nos motivan a seguir, también nos motivan a decir yo podía, yo quería. Porque nosotros, la mayoría, venimos de una generación de padres frustrados. O sea, ese papá, y ustedes como latinas saben, oye, mira, y además a la mujer, estudia para que no dependa de un hombre, estudia para que tú tengas un título en alto, estudia para que tus hijos estén orgullosos de ti. Bien, pero no están preguntando, oye, ¿qué es lo que tú quieres estudiar? Y te hace feliz eso, si no, y eso trae dinero. Ah, porque no te vas a dejar morir de hambre, entonces, es así, y todavía yo realmente no sé, esta generación mía que es, porque todos venimos frustrados de algo, ya sea de padres buenos, malos, pero ¿qué será de la generación que venga? Eso me preocupa mucho. Pero me encanta, estoy un poco tranquila al verla a ustedes, que están realizando muchos proyectos en ayudar a los latinos aquí en Estados Unidos, que sé que han pasado, pues ven, tengo tíos aquí, pasan y han pasado mucho trabajo. Quiero felicitarlos y les deseo que sigan, por favor, soñando. Entonces, ¿qué pasa? Con este que no puedo, que a mí me dijeron que no estudie tecnología, pues yo me gané una beca, y donde me la gané la beca solamente daban 4 carreras, y una de ellas era tecnología. Entonces, ¿estaba en mi destino, en mi sueño? No lo sé. Pues yo estudié y algo me molestó, que es que en mi clase eran 25 varones y 8 hembras. Eso es lo máximo que yo he podido ver en mi país, en los cursos que yo he hecho, así, de máximo de mujeres, y eso que estaban sobrepoblados de mujeres. Entonces, en mi segunda universidad, para seguir mi carrera, era peor. Éramos 2 y 28 o 29 varones. Y después terminé sola porque tuvo un accidente la chica y al final en la graduación pude ver una que decía, ay, estaba a falta de graduación. O sea, eso es increíble, eso me llama mucho la atención. ¿Dónde están las mujeres? O sea, yo sé que están aquí, están en proyectos, pero ¿dónde están las dominicanas en tecnología? Entonces comencé a orientar, a motivar, mira, pero estudia tecnología, que es bueno. Y uno de mis grandes ejemplos de por qué y la parte de discriminación es mi mamá. Mi mamá es de la primera generación de mujeres en informática en la República Dominicana. Y yo le pregunté, mami, ¿y dónde están todas las que estudiaron contigo? Que eran como 20. Y ella dijo, muchacha, cuando a mí nosotros nos entraron para esa carrera, es porque nos dijeron, esa es la carrera del futuro, o sea, en esos años. Y mi mamá, al salir embarazada de mí, tuvo que dejar la carrera. Y a los 8 años después, que esa es mi inspiración, mi negra, ella terminó su carrera de licenciatura en sistema. ¿Qué pasa? Le digo yo, ¿dónde están esas señoras que estudiaron? Deben ser ya más de 20 años. Ninguna, incluyendo a mi madre, se dedican a esa carrera. Eso está mal. ¿Cómo nosotros vamos a estar pasando todos esos años para después dedicarnos a otra cosa? Entonces, comencé a conocer esas partes precarias de los campos por medio a más de 20 organizaciones que soy voluntaria. A mí me encanta el voluntariado. Yo pienso que nosotros todos debemos levantarnos, que hay el trabajo, la familia, y qué vamos a hacer por nuestra sociedad, qué vamos a hacer por nuestros vecinos. Yo soy del grupo de jóvenes, cuando estábamos pequeños, que decíamos, mira, vamos a salvar a África, porque eso es lo que vemos en los libros y en las revistas. Pero, sí, es verdad. Entonces, yo decía, después yo comencé a pensar, ok, hay que pensar global, ¿sí? Pero tenemos que pensar primero local. O sea, yo no puedo agarrar y salvar a África e irme en un avión para ir a África cuando yo tengo mi vecino, mi comunidad, mi campo, los batelles. No sé si conocen lo que son los batelles. Los batelles son comunidades que conviven dominicanos y haitianos. Muchos, los 90%, están indocumentados, falta de educación y de cosas más esenciales, que eso me parte el corazón. Yo los conozco vía las organizaciones que trabajan en eso, hago mi voluntariado con ellos y de una vez yo busco de una vez un pastor, mira, y búscame un par de niños para darle clase, ¿qué tú tienes ahí? Comienzo a negociar con el pastor. Entonces, de ahí comienza el proyecto de darle clase a los niños, a los jóvenes, a las mujeres, empoderarlas. Entonces, con el nombre de Tikiti, que es un sueño de realidad para mis niños. Yo creí antes de venir, vine, imagínense, 14 horas en un vuelo, que era un sueño mío, porque yo cuando me pongo algo no duermo, así que ustedes están viendo las orejas, las agujeras, y es que yo me pongo intranquila, oye, ¿qué es lo que yo voy a hacer? Y cada vez que vengo del campo vengo con un problema mayor, si no son los abuelos y eso. Y yo comencé a pensar cuál es el nombre, comencé con mis niños, oye, ¿qué nombre le vamos a poner ahora a esto? Como yo a ellos les llamo mucho la atención, mira, pon atención, mira, ya tú aprendiste. Eso nosotros le llamamos como Tikiti. Entonces, ¿qué pasa? Yo dije, bueno, pero tengo que hacer la versión americana, que puedan entender. Entonces, yo traté de ponerlo Tikiti, pero ninguno de mis niños dicen así, con esa pausa de americano, sino Tikiti. Entonces, hoy vengo a decirle, este es el sueño de mis niños. Nosotros estamos trabajando con una laptop, ya ustedes saben cuando me salen una comunidad de 50 personas, entre ellos niños, donde yo tomo mi laptop, y a veces voy a donde mis amigos y ellos me dicen, oye, ¿qué tú quieres? ¿Tú quieres mi computadora? A veces me le llevo las computadoras, entonces voy y le doy clases. Nosotros estamos, aparte de apoyo de voluntarios, espero que si ustedes van a mi país, 2 días después de la playa me llamen, vamos, vamos y le damos clase a los muchachos o hablen con ellos, hasta podemos hacer una videoconferencia. A mí me encantaría, estoy grabando todo esto para enseñarles todas las historias de ustedes, que son preciosas y hermosas. Y si ustedes pudieron, también mis niños. O sea, yo quiero ver, aunque sea 10 de mis niños, que puedan estar en la universidad, no, aunque no sea estudiando tecnología, aunque sea medicina, pero que salgan de esa barrera, que puedan salir y cerrar ya la brecha digital. Es un deber de todos nosotros, aunque tú estudies medicina, contabilidad o que tú no estudies, cerrar la brecha digital. A este tiempo todavía tenemos la brecha digital, hay que cerrarla, hay que hacer un puente para traerla hacia el futuro. Entonces, ¿qué tú estás haciendo hoy? Algo, pero no le escriban, no, de que mañana, no. ¿Qué tú estás haciendo hoy? Debemos hacer algo, está en cada uno de nosotros hacer algo.
Wow, thank you so much, Oli. That was amazing. Woo! Our next speaker is Judy Tomlinson. Throughout Judy's career in engineering, technical business development, and entrepreneurship, Judy has been at the forefront of high-tech innovation. Judy started 2 companies that marry her entrepreneurial spirit with cutting-edge technology. Currently, Judy is the CEO for Fashion Tech, a fashion-forward wearable technology company. Fashion Tech's inaugural line of jewelry and accessories combines high-tech and high fashion and works in conjunction with current and future smartphone technology. Judy also serves as the founder and chief creative officer for Avox Soft, a company which focuses on the development of mobile applications featuring simple user interfaces and powerful, straightforward functionality. Under her direction, Avox Soft has launched a variety of successful applications, including My Weekly Budget, My WB Plus, and My Book of Clients. My Weekly Budget has been ranked #1 in the US, Australia, and New Zealand among finance apps in the Apple App Store and has been in the top 10 since December of 2010. Please welcome Judy Tomlinson. Judy?
Hello, everyone. I'm Judy Tomlinson, CEO of Fashion Tech. And I just want to get some hands up. How many people know what a wearable is? Yes. How many people would like a wearable for women? Come on. Okay, great. I really want to talk to you about this did not happen overnight. I would really like to give you a sense of my experience because hardware is a hard thing to do. I had to take everything out of my body and all my marbles out of my pockets to do what I did today and to be where I am today. So let me start with I didn't know that I was going to be an entrepreneur, #1. And when I was a child, I didn't know I was going to be an electrical engineer. I didn't know I was going to have my MBA. But I did have always the sense that time is precious. And whatever you want to do, you got to do it now. So I just made my notes here because I don't want to miss anything. Let's start with when I was in university. I applied to everything. When there was an application that came in for a scholarship or a fellowship, or I was part of Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. I was their external secretary. I was the secretary for IEEE. I was a secretary for SWE, Society of Women Engineers. I had a social life. I had my, I also studied a lot. But what I wanted to tell you was that I applied and I got a fellowship with Department of Energy. So when the woman was here earlier talking about, do you know your laboratories? I knew. There's 11 major laboratories here in the United States. And I was thinking back, how did I become an entrepreneur? How did I get this? So I didn't know that the whole time that I was learning engineering and working in industry is that I was getting ready to be an entrepreneur. I had my mentors all the way. Once when I was in school, through my career, I had a mentor. And now I have wonderful advisors. So let's talk about Fashion Tech. Fashion Tech is an engineering, first, an engineering company. Second, smart wearables, smart jewelry. And there's a new F word called fashion. So how did I build my team? I build my team because, or I found the talent. Some people have strengths, weaknesses, and sometimes you have to move them around just to go forward. So if you think about a car with 4 wheels, everybody has to move in that same direction. But if you're the CEO, you have to be the leader and you have to hold that steering wheel. And sometimes I would get the question, why are we doing it this way? Why did you change your mind? Well, it's because I know everybody's strengths, or I know somebody's weak here, we need to move things around. So you have to be that leader, and you have to gain the trust of your team. Your team is my team is what helped me create Zazzy. Zazzy is the smart jewelry that's modular, that can be a ring, a pendant, and a bracelet. So let's change the slide. Okay. Here we have our solution. Our solution is a wearable that's modular, like I said, but also it has a platform that will give you information about who is calling, texting, emailing, social posting, or if you're too far away from your phone. Now, I have the problem that I leave my phone in my purse and I don't see who's calling or texting. But I don't want to dig through my purse. I want to be driving, I want to be having fun, and looking at my wrist, and I know it's useful. So I have to say that this year, CES 2015, we will be showing Zazzy at, in the fashion wear section with Swarovski. I just partnered with Swarovski. Thank you, thank you. So how I got to where I am today is I did it no matter what. When I started in February 2013, that was conception, an idea, and I made a goal. My goal was to be at CES 2014. So every day, and I'm not lying, I didn't know what day it was. I would get out of my bed and throw those covers out and run. And then at night, I would go back to bed and do it all over again. Because it's really hard to make something like this. It takes many people. It takes partnerships with manufacturers. And I have to tell you, if I didn't have that technical degree, I wouldn't be able to do it. Because I had to speak to many different engineers, to jewelers, designers. So how did I get here? Well, I bootstrapped my company. I was my own angel from my previous company, or my other company, I should say. And I gave it all I got. So what I'm doing today is I'm raising capital. So we can go forward and we can make our smart jewelry smaller, and then just do a lot of different accessories with it. Because I know girls like to change their jewelry, right? Let's see, why don't we go to the next slide? No, there's not a slide, okay. No, next slide. I was one of the people in the cohort, the second cohort for Manos, and I wanted to let you know about my experience. I was the only female CEO. It was very unique because in my experience, I've always been with white male engineering groups, but this time it was Latinos, and it was very, very beautiful. We did seem like a family. We fought, we had fun. You know how it is. And the best thing out of it was I connected with mentors, and now they're taking me to the next level. So I didn't feel like I was alone. And I want to thank Beverly, Stephen, and Tamara. Also Ed, Sylvia, and Hannah. So I don't know if there's any questions, but I think I'm almost up on my time. I got 3 minutes. I just wanted to let you know that we have an advantage as a Latina because we have like 10 times more passion, right? We have 10 times more fire when we ignite it, and something has to ignite it. And then also, we have 10 times more love. So for me, I have to love what I do. And there's not much time, so just do what you love. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Judy. So our next and final speaker of the afternoon is Marina von Schlegel. Marina's passion lies at the intersection of technology, finance, and policy. She has built digital projects and communities since 2001 and developed nearly $1 billion in real estate, predominantly in Southern California. As an economic growth fellow for World Business Chicago, she recently worked to implement strategies of Mayor Emanuel's plan for economic growth and jobs on neighborhoods, innovation, and entrepreneurship. A Congress Bundestag Youth Exchange Scholar who was named America's Promising Youth Leader by Secretary of State Colin Powell, Marina has had a long-standing commitment towards works with a humanist basis. In 2012, Marina founded Cibola, the first diversity-focused technology incubator in the Midwest, in the Pilsen neighborhood of Chicago. Today, Marina is Executive Director of Embassy 2.0, an NGO focusing on binational and multinational opportunities for entrepreneurs, and partner at I365, a strategy and innovation consultancy focused on enhancing enterprise value for high-tech startup companies and their stakeholders. Please help me give a warm welcome to Marina von Schlegel. Marina.
I'm going to stand on this. Excellent. I first want to say thank you so much to Dr. Angelica. I am humbled to be in this room with all of you. I can't tell you how long this has been in coming, but finding a room full of talented, strong Latina entrepreneurs and technologists and technology enthusiasts has been a dream, and I am so excited for the future that we are all building here together. So for me, I love building on the global scale, and I would like to share some of that enthusiasm with all of you here today. We live in a globalized, interconnected world now more than ever before. With skyrocketing growth in emerging markets, greenfield opportunities exist the world over. Whenever each one of you go to start a new venture, it is imperative that you consider the opportunity to be on the global scale, even while you're proving and developing your concepts locally. As Latinas, the unique multicultural experiences we have lived our entire lives have prepared us for phenomenal global success. And now is the time to lead our businesses to that forefront and self-define what it takes to be successful in the technology industry. A few years ago, I was tired of being the only Latina in the room at technology events in Chicago. I founded the first diversity-focused incubator in the Midwest on Chicago's South Side. It was the most difficult project I have ever done in my entire life. I worked 18 hours a day, 7 days a week for an entire year. I held 52 events in the first 6 months alone, even hosting the White House's National Day of Civic Hacking on immigration reform. Unfortunately, the support for Latino startup businesses in my city did not exist at the time. And I was asked, why didn't you do this or why didn't you do that? The theory behind the project, the benchmarking, the evaluative KPIs were sound. It was just not the time to enter the market. There was less momentum than there was today, less acknowledgement for the fact that only 0.5% of VC and angel investment goes to our community, and that this is a problem. Those challenges were internal and external. Author Ana Castillo the mother of Chicanismo, Latina literary feminism, told me, "Hija, it's like you're in the jungle armed with only machete, and you're cutting your way through, and the jungle is growing back up around you. Save your power." So I turned my attention to the global markets and made connections and relationships all across the globe, primarily focusing in Latin America and Spain. But thanks to the US Department of State, this year I've also focused in the Middle East and North Africa regions. I believed that the perception problem that we had in terms of pattern recognition was an American problem, that every one of us in another market represents US innovation, our greatest global export, that every one of us could be the next Mark Zuckerberg in Santiago, in Madrid, in DF. I hypothesized this lack of bias, and over in conversations with investors, with universities, with programs, that this was proven. Latinos are the future of US economic power, the future of the electorate in this nation. 73,000 Latinos turn 18 every month, and the 2016 election will be decided by the Latino vote. We are slowly declining as a country as the destination of choice for immigrants. 6% of Indian students stay after they complete a 4-year degree, 10% of Chinese. Foreign students who used to see this as the land of opportunity are moving instead to Australia, Great Britain, tech hubs like Berlin. The challenge to our global competitiveness is all of our issue. We are the future of this country, and this is a global opportunity with massive local impacts. So when each of you go to start your next company, when you're thinking about taking that business global, don't be overwhelmed. Begin simply. Define your intents and value propositions when entering those markets. You can be successful anywhere if you put the due diligence in identifying the market opportunity and your key ecosystem players. Don't get lost in the technologies. You are your biggest enthusiast for your own product and your problem solutions. Very quick global overview. Asia right now is the strongest bull market in history. Europe in the second quarter of 2014 passed the US amount invested in startups for the first time ever. In the Middle East and North Africa, their markets are rapidly growing. I met an amazing venture capitalist woman in Turkey in August who was pregnant and represented 1/6 of their venture market, already a higher statistic than we have here in the US. In Palestine, Mena Apps and Arabpreneur are both women-run initiatives and doing amazing work. In Ramallah, there is an accelerator run by a wonderful Mexicana from East LA. Israel, the startup nation, has more startups per capita in Tel Aviv than any other city on the planet. And the natural fit for us, Latin America, a natural multilingual, multicultural opportunity. Some statistics. Google's global accelerator, F6S, has programs and events listed for startups worldwide. 25% of them are in the US. That means 75% of the startup activity that people are enthusiastic about is outside of the US. They also have global startups raising funds listed, and only 30% of those that exist are outside of the US. The point here is that these external markets have less competition, are ripe for disruption before their own internal market growth reaches our levels. Additionally, we are still the premier global business destination for technology startups, especially here in Silicon Valley. But there is more global activity with less competition. These advantages that we have being bilingual and bicultural often present a complicated navigation here in the United States, but they are a huge entrepreneurial advantage abroad. In key markets like Chile, Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, Argentina. Pursue those programs, those cross-border business grants, which sometimes are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's entrepreneurial support that are looking for talent like each and every one of you here. In Chile, you can get $40,000 just to move there for 5 months and start your business. Latino-owned businesses are the global future, with 30% above average ROI for women-led companies and a native or adaptive navigation of these foreign, especially Latin American ecosystems. Outsized returns are not only a possibility, but a near guarantee. Investing in Latinas is fail-proof. I want you to leave here reflecting today not only on the strong women around you, but on all of us who believe in our community and each one of your successes. When you hit a wall, when you hit a ceiling in your cities, if you are not from Silicon Valley, I know it's so much harder, especially in smaller markets. There's always a way around, however, and you can scale those walls, you can knock them down. But the better point to remember is that when you think globally, there are no walls, there are no ceilings, there is only unlimited potential. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Marina. That was wonderful. I love the fact that Marina talks about international, global stuff, and we didn't have that conversation here today. So it was a really excellent way to end our amazing day. I want to thank so many people right now. I want to thank all the volunteers from Sole, Sole, who came here very early in the morning. I want to thank the Latinas Think Big team for the amazing work they did. And you know who you are. I would like to thank the panelists, the speakers, the presenters who really took time away from home, from their busy schedules, to really be here for you, to support you, to engage in this conversation. I really thank all of them, each and one of them. I also want to thank Google again for their continued support in the vision of Latinas Think Big. And I also want to thank our generous co-sponsors as well. Thank you. There are two women that I want to thank. You might ask yourself, and I actually had people come up to me and said, how did you connect to all these women here? And I'm going to give you two names. Katina Rojas Joy. Where are you, Katina? Okay, she's not here right now. Katina Rojas Joy was the connector, the woman who literally emailed me and said, how can I help you? Who can I connect you to in the White House, in government, in Washington, D.C.? I did not ask for that. She emailed me. And then I got like 45 emails, her connecting me to everyone she knew. I literally couldn't keep up. I could not keep up. I literally had a journal, like, okay, I responded to this one, responded to this one. This is how we got all these women here. The second person is Lorena Chatterjee. Is Lorena here? ¿Dónde está Lorena? Lorena! Lorena was my connector to Silicon Valley. I live in New York. My point is, it is incredibly valuable and important to have not only connectors, but those women really are sponsors. And I'm not talking financial sponsors. I'm talking about people who believe in what you do and who are passionate about what you're doing and really believe in the costs and are willing to risk their networks, because every time you connect someone, there's a risk, right? There's always a risk. Maybe that person is not the right person you should be connecting. Who are willing to risk their networks because they strongly believe in what you do. You need to go out there today and find those sponsors, those connectors, those strongly connected, influential Latinas who are passionate about what you're doing, but they might be doing it differently than you're doing it, and they love the way you're doing it. You need to find those women and men, whoever they are. But I will tell you that this room is filled with many connectors. And if there's anything you can do, or you're going to get out of this here today, is find someone to connect you. I would not have been able to do or have this amazing, stellar panel of Latina influencers had I not had my connectors. And of course, social media. I've connected through social media to a lot of people. And that's fantastic. But there's nothing like human connection and saying, you have to be there. You have to be present in that Latinas Think Big event. So that's my call to action to all of you. To do something about that, to connect, to network, and connect also other women. that you know that may need to be connected. That's really how we multiply the impact. I hope you will join us for a cocktail reception. But before we leave, I would like to invite Eliana, who has something for you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelica, and thank you all so much for making this day so awesome. I can't tell you how much it means to, be able to be a host for this event and be a part of this. And I wanted to thank again the volunteers. And I wanted to just close out the event with, what I started earlier in the day was mentioning the soy thing coming up. And, I was reflecting on today and I was thinking soy inspirada or estoy inspirada, but, soy inspired. And what does that mean? And I wanted to ask you all if there's maybe 8 people who would want to say soy something. What did it mean to you? And if you want to come up to the stage to share. Anybody? Anyone interested? Soy Latina. Okay, here's one. So, okay, awesome. Or just yell it out. Let's see. Soy unidas. Soy la comunidad. Soy emprendedora y soy inspirada. Soy científica. Soy accountability. That's a good one. Soy conectada. Soy sponsor. Thank you for that. Yes. Soy future. That's awesome. Soy amiga. Soy mujer. Awesome. I'm sure we can keep going all night, but I just wanted to hear from you all the last kind of themes of what you all felt together today. I love it. And so I saw the first 8. I wanted to give you each a Chromebook. And just as a surprise, so I'm in my mind looking at who. I just wanted to share something with you all as a thank you, and I couldn't pick. So I was like, if you want to come to the stage, but the first 8, there were a couple of you, so we're gonna make sure we give them to you. Okay. So with that, thank you so much. Really looking forward to mingling more with you at the networking reception. And muchísimas gracias.